One of Lil Jeff's closest friends begged him not to go back to Chicago, saying he would become big if he stayed. "I begged him, I swear to God, stay out here, man," his friend said. But it turns out Lil Jeff was addicted to internet fame and trolling his enemies, both alive and dead. This gave him all the attention he wanted. Even his mother was cheering him on through social media, encouraging him to go after his rivals. But Jeff did not know when to stop. Soon, he became involved with King Vav, earning a reputation for being a dangerous figure, just like Julio Fulio and Corbin. Corbin's story was especially crazy. They even let Corbin get kidnapped. Now they have found his bones. But despite his tough image, Lil Jeff's last words before he passed will be remembered by both his enemies and his fans. Those words were haunting and sad. Chicago has lost many talented rappers before they could reach their full potential, from La Capone to FBG Duck. Each loss is more tragic than the last. So, when Lil Jeff was announced dead on June 8, 2024, the Chicago drill scene came to a halt. On his last day alive, the rapper was doing what he loved the most, promoting his music, showing off cash, smoking a blunt, and playing with guns. But there was one thing he loved more than anything, and sadly, it led to his death, sliding on his rivals. If you had asked Jeff if he wanted a happy ending, he might have said yes. But for his friends, family, and fans, his death was a sad ending. Right after he passed, internet detectives quickly pieced together his final moments. It turns out that one of the last times he was seen alive by his fans was at a gas station with some friends. Fellow rapper Vert posted a photo of them on Instagram, showing Lil Jeff wearing a blue hoodie and gray jeans. In the photo, Jeff seems distracted, looking at something beyond the camera. Vert captioned the post, "In the hood, we good." Tragically, this would be one of the last images of Lil Jeff alive. The next time he was seen on camera would be the final time his fans would see him. The following morning, popular journalist Kyle Mazza shared the heartbreaking news on his Twitter, saying, "Unidentified male victim shot and killed in Chicago, Illinois on June 8, 2024. The post went on to confirm that the victim was Chicago rapper Lil Jeff, detailing the painful incident. It was around 5:14 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon when tragedy struck on the 6600 block of South Rhodes Avenue. A man, identified only as John Doe, was standing near the sidewalk when he was shot in the chest. The report explained that after the shooting, the victim was rushed to the hospital but was sadly pronounced dead. There were no suspects in custody at the time. A large number of shell casings were found at the crime scene. Soon after, CCTV footage of the rapper's death made its way online, showing the shocking events unfold minute by minute. The footage, taken from the 6600 block of South Rhodes Avenue, showed a group of people near a house and several parked cars. Among them were Lil Jeff's friends, including one dressed in black, another in red who was later identified as Q50, and someone in a white hoodie. A man in yellow shorts was seen trying to get into a car when Lil Jeff noticed him. The door of the black car opened, and Lil Jeff stepped out, immediately chasing the man in yellow shorts. However, Lil Jeff quickly disappeared from sight behind a pillar of the house. As Lil Jeff chased the man, his friends stayed behind and focused their attention on a gray car, opening fire at it. Lil Jeff managed to shoot the man in yellow shorts once in the chest, but just as he was about to go after him, two other individuals appeared from an alley and began shooting back. Lil Jeff was shot multiple times and fell to the ground near the porch. As he lay there, the shooters finished him off, emptying an entire magazine into him from above, making sure there was no chance of survival. Q50 and the others fired back, but it was already too late. Lil Jeff's crew left him behind, jumping back into their car and speeding away, leaving him lying in a pool of blood. The video ended, and reports confirmed that the victim, who had been shot 15 times, was carried to the hospital by his friends. Despite their efforts, Lil Jeff was pronounced dead upon arrival. Meanwhile, the man in yellow shorts, who had also been wounded, made it to the hospital with his crew. He had been shot in the chest but survived. By the time authorities arrived at the scene, the pavement was covered with 58 shell casings. Lil Jeff had lived a violent life and now entered the history books as one of rap's most infamous figures, allegedly having 11 bodies to his name. Interestingly, another rapper, King Von, who was also considered a rap serial killer, died in a similar way. Both King Von and Lil Jeff's deaths had eerie similarities. They were both caught on camera, and in both cases, the deceased rappers were the ones who initiated the violence. King Von's death had happened not long before Lil Jeff's. On the day Von was killed, he had flown his entourage from New York to Atlanta for an album release party. But, just like Lil Jeff, his life was tragically cut short. After the party, King Von and his crew were ready to head back to their rented Airbnb, but Von decided to take a detour to Monaco Hookah Lounge. When they got there, he stayed in the car instead of going inside. While waiting in the parking lot, Von found out that one of his rivals, rapper Quando Rondo, was in the area. Without wasting any time, Von got out of the car and walked toward Quando. CCTV footage showed Von approaching Quando and punching him to the ground. Von's friends joined in, and they started attacking Quando as he tried to escape. In the chaos, one of Quando's friends, later identified as Lil Tim, appeared with a gun and started shooting. Everyone scattered, and Von was hit in the torso. Like Lil Jeff's death, Von's friends rushed him to the hospital, but sadly, he died from his injuries. Lil Tim was arrested while being treated for his own wounds. A few months later, he was released on bond, and his charges were dropped. While King Von's killer was never convicted, Lil Jeff's killer, Trap City Rob, was arrested. According to reports, Rob was charged because shooting Lil Jeff 19 times while he was already on the ground seemed like overkill, not self-defense. People were shocked to hear that Rob was charged with the murder, but later, his charges were downgraded to a gun charge. Reports on Reddit explained that a witness had placed Rob at the scene, but the police couldn't prove he was the shooter. Because of this, the murder charge was dropped, and Rob was only charged with possession of a gun. Just like King Von's killer, Lil Jeff's killer wasn't convicted for the death. To some, Lil Jeff was a troubled person who got what he deserved, but to others, he was a friend, a son, and even a hero. Many people paid tribute to him, but the most disturbing part of it all was the reactions from his parents. On social media, Lil Jeff's parents shared their thoughts after his death, and it became clear why Lil Jeff turned into a violent figure. Julio Filio's mom shared that she had tried to talk her son out of the gang life, but he refused. She asked him why he would put out videos listing people who had died, but he replied, "You saw what they say about you." At the same time, TK's mom did an interview asking people to stop glorifying violence and to put an end to the cycle. Lil Jeff's family responded to his death in a shocking way. His mother, instead of grieving in private, decided to publicly support her son's lifestyle. In one of his posts, Lil Jeff shared a screenshot of a conversation with his mom. In the messages, his mom seemed excited about the attention his name was getting on the streets. She even told him, "Go ahead, son. Your name is ringing bells in the streets." In another message, she praised him for taking action against his rivals, saying, "I love it, sliding on them, people who slept in the bed with you." Lil Jeff was proud of his mom's approval and shared the screenshot with the caption, "All I got to say is she watched me work that 6T-woo." While his mother encouraged his violent lifestyle, his father took it a step further. On Facebook, he openly asked Lil Jeff's friends to get revenge for his son, saying, "Y'all didn't get him. He came trying to get y'all, and what happened, happened." This reaction from his parents shocked many people online. One comment said, "Man, this has to be fake. There is no way this is his real parents," while another read, "Killing with your mom and dad's support is a new level of crazy." Many people could not believe his parents were supporting his dangerous lifestyle. They argued that Lil Jeff's parents should have guided him to a better path instead of encouraging him to become involved in violence. One fan said, "His parents let him go from a high school graduate to a street thug." I'm not knocking what he was doing, but this next level of support for violence is insane. Lil Jeff's close friends also took to social media to mourn his loss. One of his friends, Lil Scum, shared posts with messages like, "Damn brother, this doesn't feel real. I love you. I'ma be with you real soon." Sadly, a few weeks later, Lil Scum would also be shot and killed in the ongoing gang violence in Chicago. While many of Lil Jeff's friends mourned his death, some people warned that his fate was inevitable. Fellow rapper Rico Reckless, who had known Lil Jeff, said in interviews that he had always known something bad would happen to him. He explained he was either going to get locked up or killed. "I tried to warn him, but he went back to Chicago, and he never made it out alive." Rico had even begged Lil Jeff to stay with him in Los Angeles to avoid trouble, but Lil Jeff returned to Chicago, where he was eventually killed. Rico said, "I begged him, I swear to God. I told him to stay out here, but he didn't listen." Rico Reckless had also tried to warn another Chicago rapper, FBG Cash, but unfortunately, Cash didn't listen either and was also shot and killed. Rico's words showed how many in the Chicago rap scene faced the same fate, no matter how much they were warned. Rico had a conversation with one of his friends, asking him where he was. His friend said, "Man, I'm in the rack." Rico replied, "Weren't you just in Houston?" His friend pulled out a Draco with a clear magazine and said, "Yeah, I'm in the rack, but I'm good though." Rico told him straight up, "As a brother, as a friend, I'm telling you, that doesn't mean anything. Everybody has that. Go back to Houston." If his friends had listened to Rico and stayed away from Chicago, maybe they could have avoided the gang violence and built successful careers, like Chief Keef did. While FBG Cash and Lil Jeff had the chance to leave Chicago behind, many of Lil Jeff's victims didn't have that option. With Lil Jeff still out there, no one was safe. The Chicago drill scene had a lot to say about Lil Jeff, but his death also brought up the pain he had caused to countless families. His death became a trending topic on social media, and people online started remembering his victims. One of the most horrific murders linked to Lil Jeff took place on January 26, 2024, when he was involved in the shooting of two teens outside their school. Robert Boston, known as Lil Rob, and Montreal Williams, known as Monty, were attending Innovations High School in downtown Chicago. On that Friday afternoon, as students were leaving school for lunch, chaos erupted. Two cars pulled up near the Washington train station, and gunmen jumped out, opening fire on Monty and Lil Rob. After the shooting stopped, both teens lay motionless on the ground, bleeding out in front of their classmates. A witness, standing on the train platform, captured the aftermath on camera, showing the final moments of their young lives. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but it was too late. Both Monty and Lil Rob were pronounced dead at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. The family search. After the discovery, Fulio mocked Corbin on Instagram, making fun of how he was kidnapped. Fulio said, "They let Corbin get kidnapped. Man, that's crazy. They found his bones, like a little baby, like a little boy." Fulio took the disrespect to another level, pretending to mimic Corbin on the day he was kidnapped. He even joked, "I know he was crying." Corbin's death was never solved, but people on the street say that Fulio's gang, 6 Block, was behind it. Similar to Julio Fulio, there are many horrible murders linked to Lil Jeff in Chicago that have not been solved. One of these is the tragic death of 15-year-old Kadani Smith. On December 15, 2023, Kadani's body was found in the trunk of a burning car. The Chicago police and fire crews responded to the scene around 2 a.m., where they found the car in an alley. After the fire was put out, they discovered Kadani's body inside the trunk. The medical examiner's report was disturbing. It showed that Kadani had been shot multiple times in the neck and chest before his body was set on fire inside a stolen car. Sadly, unsolved crimes were not the only thing that Lil Jeff and Fulio had in common. When Lil Jeff passed away, his enemies did everything to make sure he wouldn't rest in peace. Vert had put up a mural to honor his fallen friend, but it wasn't long before Lil Jeff's enemies posted a video of them destroying it. On the other hand, Fulio was also involved in disrespecting the graves of his enemies. One of the graves he allegedly desecrated was of Spaz, who was shot and killed in August 2018. Fulio would often disrespect Spaz in his songs. In one disturbing video, someone is seen spitting and urinating on Spaz's grave, which was shared on social media. Even though Lil Jeff and Fulio shared so many similarities, Lil Jeff and his crew hated Fulio. One of Lil Jeff's close friends, Lil Sko, publicly disrespected Fulio during an interview on DJ UDV. He said, "If I don't know you, you're just a goofy," showing that he had no respect for Fulio. Sadly, Lil Sko would lose his life just a month after Lil Jeff's death. On June 7th, tragedy struck in the Chatham neighborhood. Lil Sko and his 16-year-old friend got into a heated argument with another person. What started as a few words quickly turned into gunfire. When it was over, Lil Sko had been shot, and his friend was injured but survived. Despite being rushed to the hospital, Lil Sko didn't make it. Police later spotted a suspect fleeing the scene, and a foot chase began. Shots were fired at officers, causing a huge emergency response, but the gunman managed to escape. Even though Lil Sko and Lil Jeff weren't fans of Fulio, they admired another rapper who was known for disrespecting his enemies, whether alive or dead. This rapper was YBC Dole from Philly. In one shocking video, Dole pretended to dig up an enemy's grave at a cemetery. This move angered his enemies and made his name go viral on the internet. He even called himself Mr. Disrespect. I am connecting with one of the most disrespectful rappers ever, YBC Dole, also known as Mr. Disrespectful. He earned this title because of his brutal ways, and because of that, he is one of the most hated people. I saw a documentary about him that claimed he is the most hated rapper in Philadelphia. Is that true? Well, you already know there is no love for him out there. Sadly, just like his friends Lil Sko and Lil Jeff, YBC Dole also lost his life in a drive-by shooting. On the flip side, if Lil Jeff were still alive today, he would likely be serving time in prison. The police managed to gather evidence from social media posts, phone records, stolen car reports, and hours of surveillance footage. They were able to identify 3 shooters, and one of them was Lil Jeff. This means he could have been arrested alongside 22-year-old Tommy Coleman, who is now facing serious charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, aggravated discharge of a firearm toward an occupied vehicle, being a felon in possession of a firearm, and failing to register as a gun offender. Lil Jeff's story is sad, but it is not unique. This cycle of gangs taunting their rivals through music and then ending up in violence in broad daylight seems to keep repeating itself. As painful as it is, you can see similar stories by clicking on the cards on your screen.